London, without question, has no shortage of restaurants, but a few have broken from the pack as true standouts over the ages. There is a reason that these restaurants have stood the test of time, in many cases for over 200 years, in one of the world's most important cities. I'll review the 5 most important historic restaurants and why they're special. Number 5, the Ivy. Located in London's Covent Garden, just up from Trafalgar Square, the Ivy is known as a pre-theater destination to the highbrow theater set. One of the few restaurants the Queen has been photographed eating at, there is no question that the Ivy is a British institution. Known for their shepherd's pie and bangers and mash, the Ivy also features an updated menu with more contemporary cuisine. Without question a difficult reservation, the restaurant also features a beautiful Art Deco center bar that is a good place for last-minute dinner plans. In addition to great drinks, the bar also serves the restaurant's full menu. In 2008, the Ivy opened a private members club spanning the 3 floors above the restaurant. But in typical British fashion, the club is not public and membership is by invitation only. However, the great food and ambiance that has made the Ivy famous can still be enjoyed by all at the restaurant downstairs. The best seat in the house, in my opinion, is the bar, where there is exceptional people watching, and my go-to dish, of course, is the traditional British shepherd's pie. When you walk in, make sure you check out the booths on the right, which are traditionally where the royalties and the celebrities are seated by the maitre d'. Number 4, Simpson's in the Strand. Opened in 1928 as a chess and cigar club, Simpson's in the Strand is located in Covent Garden on the bank of the River Thames, just walking distance from the Savoy Theatre, Somerset House, and the National Gallery. Known for their sumptuous traditional roasts of beef carved tableside on beautiful trolleys and silver trays, Simpson's is a bastion of British dining tradition. The restaurant looks like it could be right out of the 1800s with its dark oak paneling and red banquettes. The tradition of carving meat in front of their guests began as a way to avoid disturbing chess players mid-game, but has become a signature part of traditional British fine dining. Simpson's was a favorite of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the writer of Sherlock Holmes, and in fact, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson dined at Simpson's at the end of the adventures of the dying detective, where after fasting for 3 days, Holmes tells Watson something nutritious at Simpson's would not be out of place. However, today, Simpson's continues to serve a great roast of meat with all the traditional fixings, gravy, roasted potatoes and vegetables, and Yorkshire pudding, in addition to the modern fares one would expect from a restaurant owned by the Savoy Hotel. So the next time you're in London and looking for a traditional Sunday roast, look no further than Simpson's in the Strand. Number 3, Sweetings. Founded in 1889, Sweetings is located in a Grade II listed building on Queen Victoria Street in the City of London, which is London's traditional financial district. Probably the oldest fish and oyster restaurant in London, Sweetings has been serving up signature dishes since 1889. Described as a seafood lover's dream, they only sell native oysters, so you can only have them when they're in season, September through April. However, the restaurant features many other traditional British seafood dishes, such as eel, pot pie, and lobster mash. Number 2, Wilton's. A trip to London is never complete without a stroll down Jermyn Street. But before setting off to discover the wares of Davidoff of London, Foster & Sons, Turnbull & Asser, Floris, and others, I always enjoy first dropping by famed London restaurant Wilton's. One of my personal favorites, Wilton's is located on Jermyn Street just across from Davidoff of London. Wilton's began life as an oyster stall in 1742 before establishing itself in St. James in the 1840s. Few restaurants can claim a history as rich as Wilton's. Known for its seafood, Wilton's features immaculately sourced fresh oysters and some of the best Dover sole in the city. However, there is one delicacy so rare they aren't even listed on the menu: fresh langoustines. As I luckily discovered years ago on a trip through London, while in season, Wilton's receives their fresh langoustines every Tuesday morning, and often they are sold out by the end of lunch. To guarantee an allocation, I suggest calling a day ahead to reserve them. The langoustines are so fresh that once, whenever I called to confirm my reservation at 10 a.m., they had not even yet arrived. After being seated for our lunch reservation, I was informed by my waiter that the Langousteines had in fact just arrived no longer than 30 minutes prior, and that a dozen had been set aside for me and my guest. Both lunch and dinner at Wilton's each have only one service, and reservations are absolutely required. As far as I'm concerned, there is no better place to prepare oneself for an afternoon stroll down Jermyn Street and Savile Row than at one of the dining room tables at Wilton's. And if you're there on Tuesday, it should be done over some fresh langoustines. Coming in at number 1 is London's most historic restaurant, Rule's. Established in 1798, Rule's is regarded as London's oldest restaurant. Tremendously unique and unquestionably British, Rule's is what fine dining in London looked like 200 years ago. Unquestionably understated and not fussy, I've always had a nice experience with an exceptionally professional and respectable service. Rule's is to game what Wilton's is to seafood. The restaurant owns its own estate in the High Pennies, where all of its fresh game is sourced, and on which it has built its solid and deserved reputation. The game is so fresh that the menu even disclaims the possibility of leftover buckshot in the meat, although I've never had the experience of encountering this. The last time I dined at Rule's, I had some of the most incredible venison and veal I had ever eaten. Even for those averse to game meat, Rule's seems to set the standard with exceptionally fresh and tasty game that'll make even the best Kobe beef and filet mignon taste bland. A long-standing ritual for the gentlemen of the upper class is the opening day of the shooting season, which is tremendously important and which is referred to as the glorious 12th of August. The red grouse, which is widely regarded as the king of all game birds, launches the shooting season on estates ranging from the north of England to Scotland. These fast, low-flying birds are amongst the most difficult to shoot and are the prized possessions on shooting day. Past royalty, such as King Edward VII and Kaiser Wilhelm II, delighted in both the sport and tasting of the delicious, subtle flavors of the new season grouse. But for those not lucky enough to be shooting themselves on opening day, it has been the tradition at Rule's to drive down fresh grouse from that day's estate shoots to be served in London. However, this isn't a last-minute reservation, as tables book up for Rule's glorious 12th dinner up to 2 years in advance. In a nod to modernity, Rule's recently converted an upstairs private dining room where King Edward VII used to dine with his mistress into a winter garden cocktail lounge. Run by legendary barman Brian Silva, the Rule's bar can always be counted on for a great cocktail, or my personal favorite, a dry martini. And while you're up there enjoying a drink and waiting for your table, make sure that you sample their traditional Scotch quail's eggs. Of course, there are plenty of modern Michelin-starred restaurants in London. There is truly no shortage. However, one of the things I look forward to the most about visiting London is the opportunity to eat at these unique, unmistakably British institutions. There is really nothing else in the world that is similar to any one of these restaurants. They are genuinely one of a kind and have stood the test of time for hundreds of years. So the next time you're in London, check out one of these restaurants and let them know that Kirby sent you. And if you see me at the bar, let's share a drink. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you check out our Savile Row walking tour video, where I visit some of London's most important historic tailoring institutions. Of course, I'm Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Thanks for watching.